played yet, so that would be the first, second, and third games I've not played. So the first three I have not played. I've watched gameplay of them though, and they look very interesting to say the least. I don't have much to say about them because I've never played them myself, so I don't really know. But I want to play these someday. Oh, also I have not played Three Hopes. I think everything else here. Yeah, everything else here I've played. Alright, yeah, so Hopes. Um, again, I've seen stuff about it and everything, but I haven't played it yet. I want to play it eventually, but I haven't had time to yet. So these four. I also noticed that this list doesn't have Tokyo Mirage Sessions on it, which I guess is technically a FE game if you count it. That would go in the OK section, just so you guys know. All right, let's get this started. So we're gonna go in order of what they give me here. So we're gonna start with Radiant Dawn, which immediately amazing. Um, Radiant Dawn's probably I don't know. I go back and forth on it being my favorite. The story in this one is my favorite. The characters and the world building is my favorite in this game specifically. Um, the only thing that holds it back is the hardware it had to run on. It was on the Wii, so it couldn't do much about that, but first Fire Emblem to have CGI cutscenes, first Fire Emblem to have voice acting, first Fire Emblem to have 3D graphics. It did a lot for its time, and Ike's my favorite character of all time from Fire Emblem, so him being the main protagonist in these games, yeah, it just makes it better. I'm not going to get too much into detail on this stuff, but yeah, so Radiant Dawn, amazing game, one of the best in the series in my opinion. I won't get too much further into that. Shadow Dragon. Um, it was okay. The story was decent. The characters were pretty interesting to say the least. Um, you got Marth, and Marth is good in every game he's in besides his own games. If you use him in Engage, he's really good. If you use him in Smash Bros, he's really good. If you use him in Warriors, he's really good. If you use him in Heroes, he's really good. He's good in everything except the games he appeared like his games are. Like he is not good at all. He's outclassed by a lot of units, and the only thing that saves him is the emblem shield and the falchion. Other than that, he would be a pretty useless unit. But his personality is cool. I really like Marth as a character. It's just he really sucks, and a lot of units um, shine above him. I really like Celica. I really like Tiki. Um, it's been a while since I've played this game. I probably played this back in when this came out, like what, 2008, I think. This one I forget, but the last time I played it was like 2012 on my 3DS. So it's been a long time, and um, I should revisit this. And while we're on that part, let's do Mystery of the Emblem. I think it's slightly better than this, but it has the same issues. The graphics are really weird because it's like 2.5D, and it just plays really funky, and it's really weird. I don't know. Like they could have done a lot better with it, but for what it was, one of my first Fire Emblem experience was Path of Radiance, and then I played these games next after Path of Radiance. So it was a big downgrade going from Path of Radiance to Shadow Dragon, but I still really liked it. and the story was pretty compelling. And yeah, I'm just gonna slide those in here. So let's go with you know, when it comes to fates and all the different pathways it goes off, I really don't like a lot of them. Birthright, I think, is okay, but I do not like Revelation or where is it? I don't like Revelation or Conquest. These games just didn't click with me. I do not like Fates that much, and Corrin is a really bad character. I hate Corrin. Um, I think it's the most boring main character we've ever had. Corrin's not good. Um, but there are some characters in here I do like. Obviously, everyone likes Camilla. Xander's good. Um, a lot of the Birthright characters are really good, like Sakura and God, it's been so long I forget most of the names, but really, really good. Birthright was the only one I really liked. I didn't really like these two at all very much. I also didn't play them very long. I don't even think I beat Conquest or Revolution. I don't think I even 100% beat the story of them, but I did beat Birthright, and I did not. I liked it for what it was, but these two, no. So let's go back down here. So we got Genealogy of the Holy War. I think it was okay. I like it more than Shadow Dragon and Mystery of the New Emblem, but the biggest problem with this is that it's a pain in the ass to play in English. And the combat and everything is really weird, and it's very different than a lot of the other Fire Emblems. Also, the maps are huge. Don't get me started on the maps. But the characters, really good characters. Really good characters. I love the soundtrack. Um and I will say a lot of the soundtracks are always really good going through all the Fire Emblems, but there are some that stand really, like Radiant Dawn OST. Love it. Um, Genealogy, I really like the soundtrack. I really, really like the soundtrack. Um, and yeah, I mean, other than its few flaws, like all that stuff, the story's really, really good too. I really like the story. Um, the characters I said were really good. It's just the combat I did not like, and some of the animations were very sluggish and felt very chunky. And I don't know. It's just when you compare this, um, when you compare Holy War and Thracia to the GBA games, 16-bit style, GBA games did it way better, like way better. But yeah. So while we're on this topic, let's do Thracia. I really like Thracia. I like it more than Genealogy. Um, the story is immaculate, a very good story, and I like the character like Leaf. Ooh, I love Leaf. He's a really good character, and I like how they connect the two stories, and the story behind this, how this one works, is it's really interesting, and I really appreciate this game a lot. It was the first Fire Emblem game I played with a translation I had to do. So I played Thracia, then I played Genealogy. So that'll probably explain why I was kind of tired of Genealogy by the time I got there. But aside that, I really like Thracia, and they really had something great with this game. The characters and music, again, very, very good. I really like this more than Genealogy. I know a lot of people like Genealogy, but this one, yeah. So let's go down here. We got Path of Radiance. I struggle with this one, not putting it in amazing because it's one of my it's one of my favorites. It's just Radiant Dawn added so much on top of what Path of Radiance did for the series. I just Path of Radiance had a lot of issues being the first 3D Fire Emblem game, being like at the end of the life cycle on the GameCube and everything, it had a lot of its issues, and the combat didn't look very good. Like the in-game animations didn't really look good. Radiant Dawn made the like animations and everything really crisp and a lot nicer than Path Radiance. Anyway, I think Path Radiance and Radiant Dawn have the best story out of all the Fire Emblems. I really like them. I don't know, I just resonate with them very, like, on a really deep level. But I just really like it. I don't know why. Ike is my favorite character, so he instantly makes the story better. And a lot of the character arcs with Soren, Boyd, um, Titania, I think, is that how you pronounce her name? I don't know. Um, Grail, his dad, one of the few Fire Emblem characters to have their parent prevalent and alive at least somewhat into the story. Um, and it's just the soundtrack again. One of my favorite soundtracks is Ike's games together. Really good soundtracks. I won't get too much into this, so let's go down. Blazing Blade. This one is okay. I like it more than Birthright. It's okay. Characters, they're alright. I first knew Roy from Smash Brothers Melee, so I didn't even know what Fire Emblem was until like 2008. I got I had Brawl. I got Super Smash Brothers Brawl, which had Ike and Marth in it, which really piqued my interest. I ended up getting Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn that Christmas as well with Brawl, a little after Brawl. So Ike's games were the first I played. And then we went to, I remember this specifically, we went to the one, we had this like antique game store. They had FE7, the Binding Blade, or just Fire Emblem is what I knew it, and Sacred Stones. So we picked both of those up. And they also had Shadow Dragon, and then a couple years later we went back, they had New Mystery of the Emblem. So that's how I got most of my Fire Emblem games, was just off a game store. I didn't even buy them in like real retail stores, but that era of Fire Emblem, 2010 era, was like really big for me. That was like my first like introduction into the series. So Radiant Dawn is a very special game to me for that reason. But yeah, Binding or Blazing Blade. Recently played it like a couple years ago. I got the English patch for it and played it in English. I really like it, but it was the first GBA game, and it had some like issues with scaling, and like when you have support conversations that have to happen on the battlefield, that's just very annoying. Very, very annoying. It's so bad. I don't know why they did that. That's one of my biggest gripes, is like, and the support bonds aren't that good in this game either. I don't know. It's just eh. I did like it though for what it was. The music really good too. The 16-bit animation is definitely better than Thracia and Genealogy, but there was a lot more they could have done with it, and I don't know. So on the GBA games, let's just stick with that. FE7 I think did a lot better than FE6. The branching pathways and story elements that happen between Lynn, Hector, and Elliewood, really interesting. And when I first played this as a kid, I just had like, I was like, this is a really cool game, and I really liked it because I went from 3D to somewhat 3D to a 16-bit era, and I liked the animation on these more than I did these. Which makes sense because they did a lot of work with the GBA games, and I really appreciate the GBA games. When Sacred Stones comes about, though, I think it's not as good as FE7. I like the whole like split path with Ephraim and Erica, but I like FE7 a lot more. Story-wise and just quality-wise, it was really, this game is like a really weird game. But anyway, I digress. I don't want to get too much into the games and why I don't like them. Besides like a general like, are the characters good? Are the maps good? Is the story good? Is the music good? That's like my main deciding factor for these right now. I'm not gonna go too far into like everything. Awakening. I still like Path of Radiance more than Awakening, but Awakening did so much for the series. It revitalized the series and everything. I'm sure everyone knows about that. So I appreciate it a lot. The music was fantastic. Crom, Robin, Lucina, really, really, really good characters. I really like all of them. Robin's one of my favorite lords. Well, not lord, but main character type character. Because I don't know. It's always usually like a sword fighter. I mean, like, look, Marth uses a sword. Alm uses a sword. Celica uses magic, which she's kind of, it's like a half and half on their games, which I'll get to. Sigurd and Seliph use a sword. Leaf uses a sword, lance, and axe, but still has a sword in it. The only different, Ephraim and Erica use lances, but Crom, Lucina, Corin, Roy, Ike, like literally like 95% of them are sword fighters. So it's really nice to have like a magic user as like a different feel to it, you know? I just really like that part. And the story of him losing his memory but not his tactical genius, I really like it. I really liked it. Awakening was really good. It was my first Fire Emblem 3DS game, even though I got it after Birthright, Revelation, and Conquest all already were out. I bought all of the games in 2015, I think. Either 2015 or 2016 when I played all of these in like one big swoop. That was a good time. And then in 2017, we got Fire Emblem Echoes, which might be an unpopular opinion, but I really like how that game plays. I think it's an amazing game. Alm and Celica have such a compelling story together, and this game did so much for the series. I liked it a lot. I think it was my favorite 3DS game, or not favorite 3DS game, my favorite RPG 3DS game. I liked it more than Pokemon X and Y at the time. I think I've put altogether mainly the games on here right now besides Ike's games. I've put a little over 100 hours into everything. Echoes, I put 395 hours into, I think is what my 3DS told me. I beat the game about 3 times and liked messing around with it a lot. I don't know, it felt so good to play that I had to play it 3 times. I really like how this game worked. The shrines are interesting, the dungeon crawling's interesting, because I had the 2DS, the new 2DS XL with the little circle pad on the top right to like give you slight better movement control. It was just really nice walking around in a 3D environment, finally. I'm not counting Awakening or Fates at all. Like, that was very, like, strict movement. This game, you could move a lot more freely, I would say, and the exploration was a really good, cool part. And they improved this game so much from what I've seen on the original Gaiden. This is a really good remake, and I really like Echoes. Anyway, before we get into the Switch era, let me do Warriors, okay? I thought Warriors was a really fun game, and I really liked all the different types of characters we got in this. The story was like it's really hard to make a story out of this, but it was really, really, really good. I really liked that story, or I really liked the gameplay. Um, I know a lot of people don't really like the Warriors games, especially like Three Hopes and Warriors. Like they're iffy about them. I liked it. And it was one of the few Fire Emblem games you can play a couch co-op with. So I had some really good memories with some friends playing this game, even though it doesn't run very well. Anyway, Fire Emblem Three Houses. The most time I've spent in a Fire Emblem game, let me tell you. So, I did some stuff. I went on my original Wii and I went on my emulator and I calculated all the time I did on Radiant Dawn, which was 750 hours. About. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. I rounded it to 750. I beat the game a lot of times and I had a lot of just screw around game throughs. I also did a randomizer of it once. So like I played this game a lot and I really liked this. And then Path of Radiance was about 400 hours or so. So a lot of times I beat the games. I beat this one about 5, I beat this one about 8, give or take. Three Houses I've beaten 11 times main story and I've beaten the DLC 3 times. I don't think it's better than Radiant Dawn though. There are some really big hiccups in this that really make me like Radiant Dawn more, but in general, oh boy, this game. So, I bought this game release day. And let me just tell you, I don't necessarily dislike any of the characters. They all are very fleshed out. Like the characters in Three Houses, they worked so hard on the characters, and I really appreciate that. The voice acting, oh my god, I wish we started off with this game's voice acting. Almost every single line's voiced. Everything sounds very good and everything, and um the voices are good, the acting's really good, the tension they bring to the story is really good. The music is phenomenal. The story, it's good. It's just there's some stuff wrong with it. Considering there's 5 routes in total, a lot of them feel like after you beat the game like twice, it feels so repetitive going through the first half of the story over and over and over and over again. So like by my 8th game, like or by my so after I beat all 5 routes and I started doing mess around game plays, it got a lot more fun after I got through the main story, because then you could just this was the first Fire Emblem to really do this. You could make any character, any class you wanted, even if they weren't really meant to, which I really liked a lot. And I really appreciated that, and I had some really good fun with this. I made Byleth almost every class you could think. If you start a new game plus with my Byleth, he'll have S plus rank on every single proficiency, every single one of them. So it's really cool to go through and just have a speed. Like I did a speed run one where I beat the game in like 20 hours. So I did the glitch to get the Viscmon, and I just flushed through the game. But yeah, Three Houses really good. The DLC's excellent, brings a lot. Also having you could marry whoever, basically, really good, really good. I won't get too much more into this. The weapons were really good. They did get rid of the weapon triangle slightly, which was but I digress. Engage. I beat the game once already, and I'm halfway through my second playthrough. So I have a pretty good feel on how I feel about this game. I think it's an amazing game. I definitely don't think it's as good as like the other ones up here, but this is a really good game. It's just some of the character designs are too cartoony for me for a Fire Emblem game, but whatever. The emblem rings are all really cool. and I like how it works. The story, sorry about that. The story is meh. It's another Divine Dragon story. I mean, like, what do you expect? The thing I like most about this game is how the emblem characters interact with everyone, especially Ike. Everyone's conversations with Ike are so funny. It's so good. I love it so much. But yeah, I really like Engage. The soundtrack's alright. I really, other than the interactions part, I really like that every character has a paralogue where it's just a map from their game, which makes it so cool. Like when I was playing Ike's map, oh my god, the flashbacks I got, not even funny. It took me back. That was a really cool experience. And they remix soundtracks from them. I wouldn't ask for anything else. That is awesome. And I really like it. But yes, Engage is really good, and I really recommend it. It's just some of the concepts of the story are meh. Characters are really nice though. I really like a lot of the character. Kaigetsu's. I married Kaigetsu in my first playthrough. I really like Marin. I really like Luis. I really like Elchrist. I really like um Jean. I really like um Clem, and I really like um what's his name? Amber. I like all of them a lot. There's a lot of good characters in those, so I'd highly recommend it. But alright, I guess we'll leave it at that. Um I don't really think there's a lot of bad Fire Emblem games. It's just that there's really a lot of mediocre ones, and then there's a lot of them that like really shine through. But personally, like these are the ones I had the most fun with, just based off personal memory and everything. I really like these. But yeah, that was my tier list.